Welcome back. Contacts Coaching Podcast. Little pivot today. We have a current collegiate athlete, not coaching yet, but we're gonna pick the brain and see about all the other things we can learn about sports and coaching and administration through the lens of an athlete. So we're joined by Ella Emmert today, who is a catcher at the University of Kentucky at Lexington. I don't know if they say that or if it's just UK, but you can educate us on that. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right, let's dive in. So historically, my guests will do a little backgrounding and let us know who you are and how you got here. And since we're still on the front end of your professional career, but on the back end of your amateur career, you can do the student athlete version of that. What got you into athletics? How'd you get started? How did you zero in on softball? How'd you get to UK? All of that. And then we'll dive into the other hats that you wear outside of being an athlete.
Yeah. So born and raised in Lexington, Kentucky. I actually started playing so I didn't really play sports growing up. I started playing softball when I was 10 or 11. I got a flyer for a local rec team in my little mailbox at school and brought it home and I showed it to my parents and I was like, I think I want to do this. And my mom, I remember her texting the league and was like, "Do we need special shoes for softball? We're not softball people." And they were like, "Yeah, you need cleats." So started that. Obviously, wasn't great starting a new sport, but I loved it. Thought it was fun. I had always done the more musical side of things. At that age, I was a big theater kid. I liked to sing and dance on stage, so this was out of my wheelhouse, but thought it was super fun, picked it up quickly. I joined a little travel team when I was 12. Nothing too serious. Played through middle school, loved it. Played other sports, basketball, volleyball through middle school. Just did the whole athletic thing there. Got to high school. Freshman year, I was always a middle infielder. Growing up, I played shortstop mostly, second base sometimes. I get to high school and I went to Lexington Catholic High School in Lexington, Kentucky, and my dad took over the head coaching job there my freshman year of high school. And he loves it. When I started playing, he loved the game too. He got into it just as much as I did, so he was thrilled to coach. But the team didn't have a catcher. And so, one, I'm a coach's kid, the drill. Two, I was pretty adaptable in athletics. So they were like, "Ella, you want to try catching?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll try catching." Gear was old, glove was a pancake, all that. Tried catching for a little bit. I fell in love with it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I got to be in every play. I got to control the field. It was so much fun. So that's what I stuck with, and I caught all through high school. And then my recruiting process was a little unorthodox, I like to say. Obviously, when I started getting into softball, I would go to Kentucky's games just because they were my team, Bleed Blue. Loved watching those girls play, but I was always like, I never thought I was gonna really make it at that level, let alone just the college level in general. Just because I started late, it was something fun. I didn't really get into the travel scene super early like some girls. This was back before they changed the like recruiting rules. So I had girls in 12U that are already committed. And I'm like,
It
I'm
seems
never
wild.
gonna
We'll
catch.
talk about that later, but continue.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm like, I'm never gonna catch up. I'm playing girls that are committed to Georgia, and I'm still wearing this chunky face mask, and I'm not even doing the whole legit thing. And it was really my junior year of high school when I realized I think I have the talent to play at a higher level. So I got on, it was probably summer after sophomore year, I got on a national travel team, the Southern Force out of Alabama, which was crazy to me. These girls are from all over the place. They're already committed. They're going D1. It's a whole new scene for me, but it was fun getting to travel and meet new people. But yeah, I'm going into my junior year. That's when you get to start talking to coaches. People are committing. I'm not really talking to many people. I always went to Kentucky camps and Coach Austin knew who I was and I was there every day at the games. I was a bat girl like 10 times for them. But yeah, so I started getting into the more, if I want to do this, I gotta kind of work for it. So I started emailing coaches locally, smaller schools, D3s, local schools, and I'm like, this is me. I want to play for you guys. This is what I can do. Had them come watch me play locally, but I'm still bugging Coach Lawson all the time at UK. I'm like, I came to your camp. I did this. You know me. I'm always there. And I always had this thing when I went to camp, I would introduce myself because I knew I wasn't gonna be the four-hole hitter that's 250 pounds that you can't beat. So I would always introduce myself and say, it's Ella Emmert, and I'm not going to cost you a dime because I'm going to get a full ride in education. And the coaches love that because it's like, all right, cool. She's not going to cost me any money. I guess I'll give her a little look. But come like spring my junior year, I have the best, or it was probably summer after my junior year. I put up the best numbers I've ever put up at a UK camp. And I emailed Coach Lawson and I'm like, these are the numbers I put up. You know it. I know it. What do you think? And so she's, okay, we can talk. We can call. So I'm like, great. So I'm talking to her for months and I don't commit until my spring of my senior year, which is so late compared to people. I'm stressing out, but in my head, I knew this is my dream. This is what I want to do. I can make it at this level, even if I'm a bullpen catcher for 4 years. I want to be on the team. So she gave me a shot and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Stuck with it. And I redshirted my freshman year because I was like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to be stronger in 5 years than I am right now. So I redshirted and now I'm in my fifth year and it's been great and I wouldn't change a thing and I've gotten stronger, I've gotten better. And yeah, I'm hoping and I'm contributing to the team way more than I even ever imagined I would. So it's been cool. It's been a crazy journey, but that was long-winded and yeah, that's how I got here.
No, I love that. And the thing that I most enjoy is if I could do like one thing to reset the landscape of athletics, I would blow up all club and travel sports. And part of it isn't because I don't believe that there is some utility and some good in it, but it's just become this giant money grab that has lost its way. And it sounds like you were on some teams, but your recruitment and your ultimate landing spot had nothing to do with that in regards to what is preached. Like you got better by playing, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But the nonsense and the noise that comes with the snake oil, like you got nothing out of that. Can you talk a little bit about that in regards to your perspective at this point and what advice you have for others who are being told if you don't go to this tournament, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, like you have no shot. I would love to get a active roster player in the SEC to be able to either tell me I'm wrong or tell me I'm right here.
It's hard because it depends on what you really want to do. Maybe if like my sights were completely set on some D1 school in California and I'm across the country and I'm not going to be able to go to every single camp or play locally to where it'd be easy for them to watch, then yeah, I'd probably have to take a trip, maybe go to one or two camps, put my name out there and then say, if you're going to be in this spot, I'm going to be playing here. This is going to be your shot to watch me play. But I was lucky enough that I didn't necessarily have to rely on that aspect just because where I wanted to go and where I was driven towards and passionate towards was 10 minutes down the road. So I had that ability to create a personal connection quicker in that way. But yeah,
But
it's
even
hard.
if let's just take UK out of it, let's take whatever again,
Yeah.
100 mile radius of where you are. There's plenty of places that you can show up at their camps, which did more for you in regards to kicking that door down than being at the PGF Finals Championship or whatever. And again, I'm not downplaying the fact that playing gets you better. I don't ever want that lost in translation. But I do feel that what's lost a lot of time is the interpersonal connection, the network, the ability to touch, not necessarily physically, but digitally in a way in which they're going to receive it. Your targeted audience is the most important thing about what I heard on your journey. Like you were able to have a relationship, continue to pepper this person, continue to show up until they got sick and tired of seeing you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, when Coach Lawson would come watch me play at those big things, she sees a few at bats and maybe I walk in one of them, ground out in another, But I think those kind of situations are really more, it's less about how you play. It's more about the way you play the game and less about the results you're producing. I would always use those opportunities as more of a what kind of teammate can I show that I am? What kind of energy can I bring, kind of attitude, and less of what do I do on the field because that's what I'm doing at camp. I'm showing how hard I can hit. I'm showing how far I can throw. I'm showing my pop time there. I don't need to show my pop time in a game because it's rare that someone might try to steal. So it's like in those situations, I'm using them in a different way. So, yeah.
You've had a front row seat to the craziness that has become college athletics in the last 5 years. Fit your timeline of being there.
Oh,
Yeah, I would love to get your take on the shift and go both goods and bads and differences. You don't have to judge anything. But again, you're connected with all the other athletes at the school. It's not like UK isn't paying NBA salaries to their basketball team, but it's just like you're behind the curtain. What was it like as you were going through the recruiting process in high school, living in Kentucky, in the heyday or the back end of the Calipari years to now where it's the flipping Wild West and it's like people aren't and not it's obviously you're in a different sport, but you're watching this thing. You're behind the scenes as a representative with the NCAA, where I've got a former athlete that probably be a professional athlete that's going to stay in college because he can make more money. So
yeah.
it's, give me just unvarnished like your experience watching this, being behind the curtains, what you've seen, where you think it's going, what are the goods, the bads, all of it in between.
Oh, yeah, that's tough, especially just because as a softball player, it's not like I'm getting the biggest straw here to draw. So I do have to watch it. But yeah, you're right. My freshman year was the very beginning of NIL. And at first it was just cool. It was a cool opportunity because I'm DMing like Starbucks and Lululemon and I'm like, "Hey, you wanna give me some money?" And never heard back actually. So that's unfortunate, but they ghosted me. But I started doing little stuff even if it was like 25 bucks. I was like, "Okay, I get to post a little thing, make 25 bucks." I've made a little more since then. I've gotten better at
Or
it.
even like, again, some of the kids I have, it's like they just get fed if they post that they're eating there.
Yeah,
It's like even
yeah.
that
You
would
just
have been a violation 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, no, I just did a deal with Coach. I just posted. They sent me free shoes. And that's great. I got a new pair of shoes.
And by the way, anybody listening, you don't have to be an athlete to do that. My daughter is a college student and had like a brand deal with Samsung just because she
Yeah.
had a lot of followers.
Yeah, it is crazy. But it's true. I think just watching it progress over the years, there is like a fine line now between using it as a little lift up in like in promoting yourself and media and making a name for yourself and getting fans, having people wear your name on their shirts because that's a part of it, which is cool. You can make a little commission off of someone getting your jersey. But then you get into it's hurting. Some might say that it's hurting loyalty to different programs. And softball is a little different, but there are huge deals in softball too as we're getting popular and as people are gaining attention. So yeah, it does stir the question of is this more about money or is this about the program that are you really wanting to go to this program because you love this program and you want to be loyal to this program or are you making $1 million? So it's tough there. It's totally different too, just watching it as a SAC representative in an NCAA rep from the football and men's basketball standpoint because they're bringing in so much revenue, and they're making profit on their sport. So their players are getting way more money. So it makes it tough there too because especially if you are trying to go pro, maybe your rookie contract is less than the money you're going to get if you stay for a sixth year. So it makes it hard. It blurs the line between the love for the game or the want for the money.
And then you combine that with the transfer portal, right? Like, how has
Yeah.
that shaken up, say, what you've seen as a freshman recruit, red shirt, stick around, get better, grind your way out, and versus that's gone out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I always pride myself on my loyalty and I love this program and I'm so glad I did grind and I stuck it out for 5 years. But it is a real thing where maybe you come in freshman year, you're all freshman team, you're freshman of the year, and you're not at a place that's bringing in as much money. So you then have the opportunity to go somewhere else that might give you a little more. It's just that people are making those decisions.
Or
And
even playing time, right? Like you're
yeah,
not getting on the roster, so let me go find greener pastures. But I also look at it in regards to if you're building the team and you have a hole, like you said, in the four hole, and you're not bringing in an 18-year-old that's going to fill that gap, you now have the ability to go get a 22, 23-year-old that has an established record that can come in and prop the team up real quick.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
that like from the athlete perspective? Obviously, from the coach perspective, you're like, yo, I'm just trying to put the best team out here. And as an athlete perspective, it's like, yo, coach, like I've been waiting in the wings. What's up? Talk through that. I got obviously again without throwing salt or
yeah.
I'm just curious because like you're living it out. I just get to watch it and go, they just reloaded.
Yeah, I'm trying to, when I talk about it from my perspective, I'm trying to think about how I feel about these kind of situations. And from my perspective, I love the concept of getting experienced transfers. Since I've been here, we've had multiple transfers every year, and they're pitchers, they're infielders, catchers, all the good stuff. So I love when someone comes and it's okay, yeah, you can bring a different perspective. Maybe you're in a different power conference. You had different competition, but you can add something new to our arsenal. And maybe I've waited my turn, but it's also, yeah, you're here and you're gonna be the girl, but you're not gonna be the girl until you can beat me out. That's my mindset going into it always. I'm like, I'm gonna make you work for it, especially if you're in my position. I'm gonna make you work for it. You're gonna make me work for it. It's gonna make me better. It's gonna make you better. It's gonna make the team better eventually. That's the ultimate goal.
No doubt. And it's just interesting. Again, looking at it from afar and I don't know, having nostalgia for what it once was versus the new
Yeah.
reality of, hey, this is what it is. It's not going away. And how do you embrace it? How do you compete as an athlete? And bring it on. Like it's a meritocracy. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's the right mindset. Okay, so you serve on a bunch of committees in regards to the SEC, the NCAA, women's athletics. Let's take them one by one and talk a little about that. Obviously, also you're a 2-year captain on the team, probably going to be a 3-year captain on the team. Talk about that process and growing into that role, and then how that's led to these other opportunities in athletic leadership and what. Actually, let's just describe what they are first, then I'll ask some follow-up questions.
Okay, do you want me to go through
Yeah, let's just
it
check
real
the
quick?
box and
All right.
just show everybody the resume so they know who we're dealing with here.
So I can deem myself.
Brag. I'll make it. It's about me learning what you're doing, not like
I know
you
I try to
pounding your
try to stay
chest.
humble, but I like to make sure I have a little credibility here. So yeah, I'm a two-time captain as of now. I'm the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee here at the University of Kentucky. I kind of act as a liaison between the athletic department and the student athletes, and I oversee that. I was vice president for a year, and then this is my second time as president. I do that. And then as part of president of SAC, I'm on SEC Leadership Council, which meets twice a year and conferences, and Dallas and Atlanta is where I've been with that. We meet with SEC commissioner. We meet with just administrators in the SEC. We get a lot of information about legislative things within athletics. So that's pretty cool. And then I'm on NCAA Leadership Forum, so I represent the SEC at the NCAA level there. I'm the female representative from the SEC. The male representative is a track and field athlete at Alabama. On top of that, I just got actually admitted as the NCAA D1 Softball Oversight Committee representative for the SEC, which is super, super cool because I get to meet with a lot of NCAA representatives and people within the softball world. And we meet once a month and just talk about all things D1 softball, which is pretty awesome. And then I just last week got voted on as the athlete representative on the NCAA Division I softball playing rules committee, subcommittee. So yeah, we also meet once a month. Usually that really depends on what's happening in the world of softball. And we talk about playing rules, talk about umpire stuff, which is super fun. But I like that because this is the first time they've had an athlete on that subcommittee. So it's exciting for me to share my perspective as an athlete, especially as a catcher we talk a lot about obstruction rules right now. That's a huge thing. So just getting to talk about that and learn about it in that kind of setting. So that's really everything I have within
Perfect.
athletics, but
I love that. So I'm just going to go through these one by one and give me like the
yeah.
elevator pitch. So the Student Athlete Advisory Committee exists at each university. It's an opportunity for the athletic director essentially to get feedback and try to improve programs. So I got that.
Yeah. So there's a couple representatives from each sports team that meet, and then we have an executive board. I'm president, we have a vice president, and then a communications officer. And they're both volleyball players, the vice president and communications officer.
And if you were to discuss and describe for my general audience, which is coaches and athletic
Mhm.
directors, like how you could take that functionality at the college level and say, hey, the high school version of this would look like this, and I would invite you to consider it because this is the value add. What would you say? What would your elevator pitch be, and how would you structure that?
Yeah, I think I love it just because it's a really good way because the representatives act as communication between the athletic department and their teams. So I think it's a really good way for information to be transferred and questions to be asked and brought forward. And then also, we put together a lot of different opportunities for different teams. So we'll host community engagement activities, maybe some information panels, mental health panels, things like that. So I think it would be huge at the high school level, especially because that's the age when kids will start to get serious about their sport and grow in the passion for leadership within their sport. So I think it would be a great idea at the high school level. I think it could look like a couple people from each team that met and
How often do you meet? How long are the meetings? When do you do it, given the fact that college athletes today are professional athletes anyway? Like, when do you find time for this?
yeah, so we meet once a month. Usually it's an hour. Sometimes we'll do if it's a bigger meeting with more information, like at the beginning of the year or last year when there's a lot of info about the legislative act with the NCAA and all of that, maybe an hour and a half. Sometimes we'll provide dinner, which is nice because athletes love to eat and it's a free meal. A lot of carbs in those meals for sure and protein.
Not a pizza, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of chicken, a lot of pasta. But yeah, so yeah, we meet once a month for about an hour and a half. And it's usually in the evenings, usually around 7, just because yeah, that we have it is like our job. Our sport is basically our job. So we work. I get up at 5 a.m. and then I'm not done until 5 p.m. That's
That's
really
always been my challenge is like, how do you add things to the kids' plates who are student athletes? And at a school like ours where they're busy from ding to dong, it's kind of like, I'm not trying to overwhelm their plate, but I hadn't really thought about the evening perspective before. I was always trying to shoehorn it into the day. So I like that. Thank you. Okay.
yeah.
SEC Leadership Council, you meet with the commissioner. And I'm assuming, again, this is more information dispersal towards you than like back and forth dialogue and Q&A.
Yeah. It's a 2-day conference.
Two-day
Uh,
conference. Okay.
yeah, 2-day conference, and we'll hear from NCAA level doctors
Yep.
that talk about mental health and processes to fight the stigma against mental health.
Yep.
And then they'll get our input on what we think could help.
Yep.
And they send out a yearly surveys about mental health, and we'll give our input on what we think should be included in the survey,
And
you know,
that happened to be the most recent conference, which seemed to be like focused on mental health.
yeah, I went to that in July.
Yeah. So a lot of breakout
Yeah.
sessions that you get to go to, typical conference.
Yeah.
NCAA Leadership Forum. That one is what's that? I have no clue on
Yeah.
that one.
So that's happening next weekend. That's in Dallas, Texas, and that's a 3-day.
Okay. So similar. It's going to have breakout rooms. There's going to be different topics that
Yeah.
you get to choose to go to. Okay. All right. Let's talk about these oversight committees. So softball and the rules committee. Fascinated by this. So what? And I know you're on the front end of this, right? So you'll have a lot more information later, but
Yeah.
it's what would be the genesis behind, let's talk about this rule. per se, right? And how
Yeah.
many of those are coming up each year versus just shut up and play. It's been in the rules forever. Like I'm just
Yeah.
fascinated by how that whole thing works.
Yeah. So this is a non-rule change year. So rules are changed every 2 years. So we're not doing a ton this year. I don't really have to get into a ton of detail this year, which is nice, especially my first year getting into it. But yeah, right now we're talking a lot about the idea for like partnership logos being on the field or on uniforms, like corporate logos, sponsorships, and just
Because
talking
that's obviously something we should spend a lot of time on. I got it. No problem.
and just the size because we have to decide. And I'm a non-voting member,
Yeah.
so I can voice my opinion, but I don't get to vote.
But it's okay. Hey, Emma, what do you think about 2 inch, 3 inch, like on the jersey? Like, really?
No, that's what it is. We talked about like the size on the outfield, how big we want to paint the logo on the outfield. Is it going to distract? Super cool stuff. But then we also get into other stuff like pitching, what's legal for a pitcher to do coming off the mound, what's legal for a catcher to do at the plate, at the plate.
All
So
right.
yeah,
I'm gonna get back to you when you start actually changing rules a year from now. I want to talk about that. But okay, let's talk about that as a catcher, right? Navigating the mental wherewithal of the person standing in the circle. What have you learned? What secrets do you have? What advice can you give that are reset situations for all athletes, not just the pitcher, but you're like handling, air
yeah.
quote, one of probably the most stressful jobs in sports. Talk a little bit about that journey and what you've learned and what hacks you would give to someone sitting in your role or the coach in any sport that's essentially doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always approached it as the more confident I am in my ability to execute what I execute is what's going to give my pitcher the most confidence. So the more I work on my game and I perfect my game and the pitcher trusts me as a defender and a catcher behind her, she's going to have more confidence. And so that's like the biggest thing for me, especially in softball when there's a lot of balls. It's different than baseball because you have your different pitches in baseball, but softball, you have drop ball, you have rise ball, you're going in all different directions. So if my pitcher's comfortable throwing in all different directions and even she spikes one in the ground, she can trust me to keep it in front, then she's gonna be able to know it's okay to spike it in the ground. But yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing for me when it comes to controlling a situation. My biggest thing, and I try to instill this in my teammates, especially pitchers, is gratitude. And that's something I've had to learn over the past 5 years. And I'm not perfect at it, but it really started my junior year. I developed this mindset of you can't be grateful and anxious at the same time. So if in every moment I'm grateful for that moment, maybe it is a stressful moment or it's something new I haven't faced before. If I can take a breath and I can say, I'm grateful to be here. I'm exactly where I want to be. No matter what happens, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Then I'm able to have a little more confidence in myself, be a little more relaxed. So I really try to instill that in my pitchers, especially just within outside of softball too, just having those conversations and practice. So then when they get into a game situation, they have that mindset. Maybe I just threw it in the ground, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to even be able to throw this next pitch. So that's what I'm gonna.
So, talk to me about the reality of that practice. Because I find it hard to believe that a pitcher's saying, I just spiked the thing in the ground, but hey, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And I have so much respect for pitchers just because what they do is insane. They're the star of the show, really. They're the center of attention. They're in everything. They have to throw every pitch. They touch the ball every single play. So,
But
like,
even as a hitter, like at any point in any sport, how are you trying to have this like practice of gratitude while you're trying to execute whatever it is that you're doing? I would love for you to give us the secret sauce on that I can go tell my team about.
oh, yeah, less of a secret sauce, more of just something I had to do.
Cool. Tell me why and how you ended up there and what your practice looks like now.
Yeah, for sure. It started honestly when I got to college because you grow up and you're the best in your district, you're the best in your town, and I'm, it's a game of failure, but at the high school level, I'm succeeding more than I'm failing. I'm hitting 600, I'm on base 800. Oh, this is easy.
Ah,
And then I get to college and I'm actually the worst on the team. I'm like, what happened? These girls
I
are
talk
really
to my kids about that all the time as they're matriculating. This ain't gonna be what it's like.
No, I walk into weights the first day and we've got girls power cleaning 200. Then I'm on the PVC pipe on rack 10. So I'm like, this is crazy. This is too intense. I'm back to rack 1 now, 5 years later. But
I love that. And people that don't know what we're talking about, go learn how to Olympic lift, and you'll
no,
know about the
genuinely.
PVC pipe.
Then the PVC pipe, the 6 week long orientation with the PVC pipe. Yes, it haunts me. It haunts me every year when I see the freshmen. But yeah, I get there and I'm like, oh my gosh, there is no shot I'm going to be able to see the field. No shot at all. And I redshirted, so obviously I didn't see the field, but still, I'm like, I'm gonna be in the bull. I'm the best bullpen catcher we've got, first of all, and that's what my job's gonna be. I'm gonna be the best dang bullpen catcher they've ever seen. I'm gonna do my job well because probably not gonna see the catcher's box on the field. Sophomore year, I get two appearances all year. One of them is against Tennessee, and one of them is against Texas A&M. Two top 10 teams. I get at bats against both of them. I strike out in one of them, and I pop up to the third baseman in the other. And that's the only time I saw the field sophomore year.
It was improvement. You made contact.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it was first pitch too. I swung first pitch, so that was new.
Best pitch. Come on.
They were also both to end the game, so that was cool too. As a sophomore, redshirt freshman, actually, my freshman year, I'm into the game. But yeah, so that was intense. I'm like, there's no shot I'm gonna be able to compete at this level. I then get voted captain the next year, which is crazy to think about because you get two at bats, you don't do squat, you're voted captain. But it's because of the way I lead off the field and the things I do outside of softball and the impact I have. I always made sure my goal was to maybe I'm not going to be on the field, but I'm going to push the people on the field.
Which you're aware of this, and many people are, but we'll say it anyway, is often more important than what you're doing on the field. And
Oh,
I've
yeah.
said I've had multiple kids on my teams over the years that couldn't play dead, but were the best leaders I had in the program.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the girl catching in front of me, you probably heard of her, everyone probably has. Kayla Kowalik. She's All-American. She's the pro softball, the AUSL champion this year. So she's an insane athlete. She was total freak. She was awesome. And just learning from her was awesome. But also at the same time, I'm little on me, I'm like, oh, I'm making her fight for the spot. Probably wasn't. But in my head, she knew she had it in the bag. But in my head, I'm like, I'm pushing her. I'm pushing her. I threw her out at third one time, and it was like the greatest moment of my life. And I was like, I'm coming for your spot. Of course, I'm not coming for your spot. And she would laugh if she heard this. But I did. My junior year is when I finally got my first start, and I had to. It was awesome. It was super cool. I did well, but then it also wasn't like I was getting, I guess, like it wasn't.
Regular starts.
Yes, that's exactly right. I was never getting like this comforting feeling like I was the starter because it would just be here and there and I'd take advantage of my opportunity. But, and I don't exactly remember like how this mindset happened, but if you've heard the term playing with house money,
All the time.
yeah, yeah. So,
I say it, my kids don't know what I'm talking about.
yes.
Same with the hay is in the barn. They don't know what that means either.
Yeah, I say it to like high schoolers if I'm trying to hype them up and they have no clue. I'm like, I don't condone gambling at
Yeah,
all. You shouldn't know what that means, actually.
right.
Sorry. But yeah, playing with house money means you have nothing to lose. So that was like my whole motto junior year. I was like, playing with house money. I'd draw it on my wrist. I would draw a little house and then a dollar sign. Every game, I'd say house money, house money. No matter what, I have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Genuinely have nothing to lose. I could go out there, I could strike out, I could hit a 300-footer home run. Either way, I'm in the same position, I have nothing to lose. So that was like what really shifted it for me. And that goes along with the gratitude, just because in that moment, in certain moments, I'm like, I'm grateful for this moment. At the same time, I have nothing to lose either way. And it's a training of your brain for sure. And so it's hard to just tell people that and assume that they're gonna be able to do it tomorrow because it was a repetitive process where every day I would have to just tell myself, whatever, I have nothing to lose.
But came from where? Because you said like freshman year, you were like, I'm just gonna be the best bullpen catcher. Did coach sit you down and be like, yo, you're never playing. You might as well embrace this role. Like,
Well,
how did you evolve into, okay, here's my mindset?
Just because when I was my senior year of high school, I got recruited on the phone. She's, listen, you could go somewhere else and be really good, like a smaller school. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to go to Kentucky because I want to become the best softball player I can be. I'm not going to do that at this school. But even if I never see the field, I'm still going to be the best softball player I ever could have been if I go to Kentucky. So that was my whole mindset going to Kentucky. That's the reason I wanted to go there. And she was like, okay, you're probably just going to bullpen catch. And I was like, perfect. I'll be your best bullpen catcher you've ever had. But then my junior year or my sophomore year, I always say my junior, but it's actually my sophomore year. I got my first start against Stanford and we beat them and they were number 3 in the nation. And it was like the coolest thing ever. I got my first hit. I had 14 pitch at bat. It was literally the coolest game of my life. And that the next week at practice, Coach Lawson was like, I never thought you'd start an SEC game, but I'm really proud of you. And I was like, that makes 2 of us, but I'm proud of me too. So that's really the moment where I was like, I can do this. Like I can play at this level and I can be good, but I'm not just gonna happen right now. I'm not at that position right now. I did great in this game. It doesn't mean I have what it takes to be an SEC caliber catcher yet. But because of that, then I was like, I know I can get there. I have to train my mind to also know I can get there.
Yeah, how do you apply that to let me give a little context.
Yeah.
So 25 years into this thing, 20 of those years have been coaching boys, 5 have been coaching girls. This is a blanket generalization for all the people in the world that want to be upset with me for saying this. But as a general rule, my male athletes are generally speaking, they have irrational confidence. And my female athletes, generally speaking, suffer from a lack of confidence that they should have. It's like the polar opposite. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, they're good, they don't believe they're good. And the other side is they're not good and they think they're going to the NBA.
Yeah.
So, all of that to say
It's
this,
so true. It's so
right?
true.
All of that to say this. If you have somebody, right, that is potentially not in your situation, coming in eyes wide open, I'm probably never going to play. I'm just going to grind. I'm happy to be here. But you got the highly recruited or you got the supposed star that's struggling and they can't put it together and they're tearing themselves down. And like, how do you get them to see the forest for the trees the way you did? I'm playing without some money. Shit, I'm just here. I got nothing to lose. Like, how do you help them as a captain over that hump? Because I'm sure you've seen it. It's like you're trying to get somebody mentally right so they can compete at the level they're capable of, but they can't get out of their own way. Do you have any
Yeah.
suggestions there? Do you have any experiences you want to share there? Wins that you can offer, losses that you can offer? Hell, who knows? I'm just always trying to figure out what buttons to push.
Yeah, I try to always offer advice and guidance through personal experience. And you're right, my journey to this point is crazy and different. And I was 40 pounds lighter 5 years ago and didn't think I'd be here. So it was a totally different mindset for me. But yeah, to someone that does come in as a 5-star top 10 recruit and is supposed to have the starting spot freshman year and might be struggling, I think it's just important to remember, and it's so much easier said than done, especially within this kind of sport. If you succeed 3 out of 10 times, you're considered great. So it's the thing I have to remind myself and remind my teammates is that this, what you do on the field isn't who you are, it's just something you do. So it's like who you are makes you worth something, makes you loved, makes you appreciated, makes you a good friend, a good teammate. But what you do doesn't have any effect on who you are. And it's hard to realize that, especially if you're going through something like that. A personal experience. This year, I'm hoping to contribute more than I ever have on the field in season. And we just played our fall season. And I went through this like weird, and I came into this year, I'm like, I'm big dog. I'm the 5th year. I've got it. I've got the spot. And we start playing these fall games and they don't mean anything and they're not against SEC teams. And I just was not doing well at the plate, like freezing up on change ups and oh my gosh, I hate to even admit it. reliving it sucks, but it was so weird. I'm like, I have never done this because I always prided myself in my ability to get on base. That was my thing. I would go 15 pitches and draw a walk, and I would battle. I wouldn't strike out. I would just battle and battle, and I'd get on base, even if I got freaking hit by a pitch 20 pitches later. My on base percent, I led the team in on base percentage like my junior year, which is crazy because I wasn't like I was hitting super well, but one day at practice before we played Indiana one night. This is the practice before we play Indiana, and they're our biggest game of the fall. There's going to be thousands of people there. It's our Halloween theme game. It's going to be on ESPN. And practice before that, Coach Lawson pulls me to the side and she's, "Hey, you're playing like you got something to lose, and you don't do that." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And she's, "I don't know what's going on, but you've never done that before, and that's what you look like out there." And so then I'm like, "Shoot, you're right." But I'm up there like I do have something to lose. I'm terrified. It got to the point where I was like, I don't even want another at bat because I'm afraid that I'm just gonna sit there and strike out because that's what I was doing. So then we play Indiana and they're up 1-0 at that point, or no, 2-1 at that point. And my first at bat of the game, I'm at first I was panicking because I'm like, crap, because I started. I didn't think I was going to start because I had just been sucking. But I get up to bat and I'm like, I foul the first pitch back and I'm like, okay, I'm on it. I've got nothing to lose. Seriously. I've been horrible up until now. Oh, I'm just gonna freaking trust myself. And next pitch, I hit a ball off the video tower and tie it up. Huge, the furthest I've ever hit a ball in my life. I was ecstatic. And then I ended up just having a great rest of the fall. I had another at bat, did well. We played another game, did well. Finished out the fall great. So it was just that moment of Coach Lawson coming up to me. I needed, because I'm usually that person for other people. So I wasn't that person for myself. So to have my coach pull me over to the side and be like, "Hey, this isn't you. I know you, and this isn't you," was a total wake up call. Just to be like, "You're right. I need to be that person for myself. Thank you for being that for me. Now I can do what I know how to do."
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's super important. The thing that you mentioned, that resume that I wrote down, is identity, right?
Yeah.
And not connecting your identity to outcomes. This is what you do, it's not who you are. And obviously, I don't know how you got there, but I think it's an important message for people to understand because your career is going to end at some point. And
Mhm.
if all you think you are is this player, then there's something missing. And I'm glad that you're already on that. Has there been anything in these advisory groups you're part of where you're running into these other athletes from across the nation, obviously, right? Where you've been able to take anything away and bring back to your team that was like, oh, I never saw things that way, or just because the networking piece is as important as whatever you're getting out of the rules committee. Anything you've been able to glean from those meetings as of yet, even within your own campus, where you're talking to the basketball or the tennis athletes or whomever, anything that you can offer up that's just, wow, I'm in this insulated softball world all the time, but like expanding my view a little bit, I was able to grab X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I've always been a very lead by example type of person. I was never very confrontational. I really love the idea of people liking me. I'm a huge people pleaser, and not so anymore, but I used to be. Like, if everyone likes me, it's great. I'm gonna lead by example. I'm gonna be really nice to everyone. I'm not gonna ruffle any feathers between me and my teammates. But being able to be in these situations with people from other teams and like good leaders from other teams. I have the men's basketball captain in the room with me, or SAC leaders from other schools, like Georgia football players who have a championship under their belt, which is crazy. Other different teams, different coaches from different teams. I've really learned the how important it is to also lead vocally and not just by example. And I think that's really elevated my ability to connect and to be a leader and succeed in these positions that I'm in. Even if it's just as simple as you overhear someone say something bad about themselves at practice. I'm like, "Hey, why are you talking to yourself like that?" Instead of, because you used to like, I used to want to buddy up with them and be like, yeah, relatable, I get it. No, it's like you shouldn't be talking about yourself like that. Why you saying I can't hit this? Why don't you say, watch how good I'm gonna be when I figure this out? It's stuff like that. I think that has totally changed the way I lead and the way I communicate. And I think it's elevated me too, because then I'm adopting these kind of things instead of being like, oh, I'm never gonna hit the change up. I might not hit it right now, but when I figure it out, it's never gonna beat me. So that kind of mindset and just being able to vocalize that to those people around me. And I think I have learned that from people on other teams and other situations in those leadership groups.
No, I
So
like that. That's great. All right, let's wrap up with this. And I'll frame it for you since you haven't listened to a ton of these. But in the world we live in today, which is extremely polarized, obviously,
yeah,
and people are just basically living in their echo chambers. I'm always curious how we, not they, we all are challenging our belief system. One of the things that I ask is, what is something you've recently changed your mind on? And by that, it's, hey, I used to believe this and I was really dug in and you weren't going to change my mind. And now I'm over here and here's why. Like I intentionally got to this point and it's totally counter to what I used to believe. And it doesn't have to be sports related. It's just in general, it's like growth mindset. How are you constantly working to improve as a leader? How are you looking at different ways to do things, whatever it might be? But if there's anything that's front of mind for you, and when I say recently, I don't know, 6 months to a year, but really like purposefully, yeah, I don't believe that anymore. And here's why. This is why I feel differently.
yeah, that's so awesome that you asked that because I've really honestly, you say recent, I literally have had this kind of this mindset shift and a theme adoption in the last 2 weeks or a week. So that's literally what lit up in my brain. I've always been a firm believer, or up until a couple weeks ago, that like my focus always has to be on the future. I have to have everything planned out. I'm doing this because in a week this will end up like this. So it's like everything I'm doing now is for the future. I'm only thinking about the future. Even in the softball world, it's the stuff I'm doing now is because of what we're doing next week, or I'm trying that kind of mindset. And it goes into my committees and my leadership roles too. I'm putting together meetings and stuff, and all I can think about is the meeting I'm going to have next week, and I'm not even present for the discussion I'm sitting in right now. I'm just thinking about what I'm going to talk about next week. So the huge thing that I've had to force myself to do is embrace the present and where I am at this exact moment, because that is what's going to determine the future. And whatever I do in the present, I don't need to focus on the future. I just have to let it be, because no matter what, it's coming. So it's not like anything I can control necessarily in that fact. So I've made a really conscious effort to be present in my leadership roles and things that I'm conducting. I'm doing a big community engagement shoe collection right now, and that's just been crazy. And I feel like I haven't really focused on it because I've been a month ahead. So I'm really trying to sit down and focus on that right now because that's what's important. And these are the things I'm passionate about. But I'm letting the thought of what's coming in the future deter me from my passions in this moment. So that's probably the biggest thing right now.
I love that. And it's funny. I just, one of the big things we talk about is control the controllables. And it's
Yeah.
been that way for a long time. And my former athletes talk about it. Like all our kids get these little wristbands. But I actually just sent a little tweet. I don't know what they call them these days, but to one of my students who was like freaking out about something. And it's an old like Taoist axiom, which is if you're depressed, you're living in the past, right? Or if you're stressed, depressed, stressed, whatever, you're
Yeah.
thinking about the past, right? If you're anxious, you're worrying about the future. But if you're living in the present, you're generally at peace, like with
Yeah.
what's going on, because you're the cliche, be where your feet are. It's like
Yeah.
tune out the noise. So I love that that's what's been your most recent adoption, which
Yeah.
at whatever, what are you, 23, 22? And
Yeah.
yeah, at 50, it's, I try to live that out every day and I've got a lot more reps at it. But the sooner you can get to that life hack, the more fulfilled you are because you're not chasing and you're not looking backwards.
Yeah. It's I think about it too because I'm going to be applying for master's programs coming up, and I'm been freaking out about what I'm going to write for my personal statements and the rec letters that I'm going to get back and what are they going to say. Are they going to say good stuff about that kind of stuff? And I'm losing focus on my duties as SAC president, as organizer of this service project. But then I'm like, but if I focus on these things, that's what's going to help me with applying for master's programs. If I'm good at these things in this moment, that's what's going to boost these things in the future. Yeah, it's totally being where your feet are, no matter how cliche it is. It's very true.
Cliches exist for a reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to embrace it. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time. You're a lot later there than I am here, and I know you got a busy schedule so thanks for jumping on, and looking forward to catching up if you ever make it out this way and you get brought down to where we're at versus just in Sacramento.
Yeah, thank you so much.